Hello, everybody. Eric Worre here, and we are involved in the beginning of another top leader interview, and this time we have the incomparable Tara Wilson. How you doing, Tara?
I'm good, thanks.
It's good to see you. We have known each other for how long? How long have we known each other?
At least 10 years.
10 years.
Right,
yeah.
right around the first.
You're here with your husband, Chris. Chris is sitting in the behind the camera, and you're just on the verge of $1 million earner status, right?
Yep.
Probably by the time people hear this, you'll be at that $1 million earner status. You've been in our Next Level Mastermind and been a great contributor inside of that group. That's a group we have for 6-figure earners and above, where they share ideas, and probably average earnings in that group is over $800,000 a year. Great group. Your teams have done over $220 million in sales. Is that true?
Yes.
In 16 different countries?
Yes, over the 13 years.
Wow. And you're a big brain person too. You got a psychology degree, had a big, professional career. You were in wholesale mortgage rep. You did all these different kinds of things over the course of your career. I know about your recent life, but I don't know about where you came from. So I want to know where you came from. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little town in Northern California called Martinez. And then we kind of hopped around. We went up to the Mount Shasta Hills, and then we came back to the Bay Area. Very humble beginnings. Actually, there were times where we were on welfare.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about what did your parents do? What were?
Well, my father, my mother and father divorced when I was 5, and my father was a real estate mortgage broker for 40 years. And so it was feast or famine. When the real estate industry was good, we were good. When it wasn't, but I lived predominantly with my mother and my stepfather, and neither one of them, none of my parents went to college. They were just jack of all trades, carpenter, accountant, whatever, just whatever they could do to get the bills fed.
So as you look back at it, how do you think that the divorce at age 5 impacted your life?
I think it was young enough. I think it was not that big of a deal, and that those were the days where it was like you just went and saw your dad every other weekend or something.
Yeah.
So I accepted his life. I was a young child. I was 5, so I don't think it was.
Didn't really.
No, it affected my sister a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Was she a little older?
She was 3 years older. She's actually.
So she kind of understood the circumstance a little bit more. She's a little bit more. So it impacted her differently.
Yeah, they say same family. One can go to Yale, one goes to jail. My sister, I'm a UC Berkeley honor student. My sister's a heroin addict. So.
Really? Still to this day?
I think so. I haven't talked to her in years.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating. I mean, I see the same thing in my family, and maybe not to that extreme, but similar. Grew up in the same family, same parents, same situation. Some person took a right turn. Some people took a left turn. Some people go to faith. Some people go to something else. Some people are crushed by the experience, and some people use it as motivation, as fuel. What do you think caused you to take a different decision process?
Yeah. I think being younger helped because I watched my older siblings, and then my mother remarried. I had 3 steps, 2 stepbrothers and a stepsister, and I was the second youngest. And so I kind of watched them mess up and get grounded and struggle, and I just kind of like, well, don't do that. Don't do that.
Were you the good kid?
I was, but we weren't.
The peacemaker, the
straight A student, because
didn't trouble your mom, didn't give anybody any hassle.
No, never tried to run away, never did anything bad in high school.
Well, if people were to describe you growing up, as a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old, how would they describe you?
Very wild and free-spirited, fun, goofy, always playing, always
tomboy?
Curious. Yeah, kind of like a street rat.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a scrapper. Just I'd slide down the hill in the mud. I would, build forts. I jumped off the roof with umbrellas. I can't even tell you how many times. And
really
managed to never break a
trying
bone.
to do the Mary Poppins thing?
Oh yeah. Dig big holes in the backyard. And we would like fill them with like things trying to make pools. And I'm like, I can't imagine how mad I would be if my kids dug a hole that big in my yard.
Right?
Yeah, but they didn't care.
So you're this wild and free-spirited kid.
Mm-hmm.
Weren't any trouble to your mom, your stepdad, or your dad.
Mm-mm.
And in school, what kind of a student were you?
Well, the first grade when we start getting grades was 4th grade.
Yeah.
And I got all A's, and my parents made such a big deal about it. My dad got me a camera. My mom got me an elephant stuffed animal. And I was like, well, that's awesome. I want to keep doing that. And so I just kept getting straight A's.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, I can't relate.
I know.
Because I was such a terrible student.
And I'm really good at riddles too.
Really?
Yeah.
We talked about this before. Like, there are people, when I see riddles online or social media or whatever, or people, you have to solve a riddle quickly in some game or some family game or whatever, I'm done. I'm out. My brain just does not work like that.
Yeah.
Like, I could play poker, I could play checkers. Chess is a mystery to me.
Oh, see, I'm so good at chess that I stopped playing with my husband. I'm like, it's no fun. I beat you every time.
It's just a mystery to me. So I don't know. It's like, I'm a really slow learner. Like, when I get it though, I got it.
I think there's different kinds of intelligence because you are very, very intelligent. I think there's just different ways your brains work.
I guess. I mean, I found a career and a profession that works for me, but I really always felt like a round peg in a square hole when it came to school. Because if somebody didn't tell me why do I need to learn geometry?
Right.
I'm never going to use it. Why do I need to learn algebra? Because I never have.
No. And we have them in our pockets now.
Right. So why do I need to learn this again? And so somebody just needed to tell me it's because it's a different level of problem solving. It's going to teach your brain how to solve a problem in a particular way, and you get paid for solving problems in your life.
Right.
So this is an exercise for you to be able to be a better problem solver. Oh, if
See,
they would have told me that.
I felt that way about history. I don't care what they did.
No, and I was okay with history.
See, that's it. So you're right brain, I'm left brain.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even understand the brains. I don't understand the colors.
Logic.
I don't understand the enneagrams.
Oh, see, that I love all that stuff. So yeah, logic.
Like, what color
math.
are you?
Oh, I'm definitely a red, blue.
A red,
but
blue.
I'm also kind of green too because I love numbers. I love numbers.
See, so I've tested myself a few times, and I'm really close to all of them. I kind of circle closely on inside of them, and I think I can kind of relate to most of them.
I'm least yellow,
except for the A students. They just scare me. Maybe it's just being rebellious. I don't know. I've always been rebellious to structured authority. If somebody told me I had to do something for whatever reason, I was rebellious to that. Even if it was in my own best interest.
Yeah.
So
I'm a complier.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was a people pleaser too, though.
Yeah.
So anyway, this isn't about me.
Did you do the Enneagram?
I couldn't even remember.
Oh, I'm a 7. I'm the enthusiast. Life is always good.
Really?
The sky is never falling. Mm-mm.
See, I'm a little bit more melancholy by nature. I'm a little bit more internally.
I guess you're probably a 3.
I don't know.
Yeah.
See,
Anyway.
but the fact that you know the number, the numbers and the colors.
I'll give you the test later.
Yeah, the numbers and the colors and all this stuff. I don't know. All I know is I'm grateful for network marketing to be able to give me a vehicle, right? To be able to survive in this world, because I struggled, 18 jobs by the time I was 22. You've heard the story.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to fit in somewhere, figure something out, make some money. So anyway, you go down this path. You go straight A's, and you just decide I'm going to be straight A. So you go through. Were you in sports or anything, or activities in school?
He's laughing. Yes, I did track.
Yeah.
And volleyball.
Okay.
Cheerleading.
What was your
track? I was a track star.
And at what?
Long jump, triple jump, high jump, and the hurdles. So I'm 5'6", and I could do a 6'2". I could jump over a bar that was 6'2".
No way.
Yeah.
The flop? You do
the flop.
Fosbury flop?
Yeah. The Salisbury flop.
Salisbury, is that what it is?
I think so.
It's a Salisbury steak. Come on. It's
I had a good vertical leap, and I had a really big arch, so you just have to get up and over, and it's like I think I could jump this table.
about it.
And long jump, I think it was my highest long jump. It was almost 16 feet I could jump in a single bound. Yeah.
Were you ever entrepreneurial as a kid?
Yes.
So how did that express itself?
So I knew that my parents were broke most of the time. So I learned at a very young age that if I was going to be, it was up to me. So I started pulling weeds for 50 cents an hour at 11. I had a paper out at 14. I worked in a pizza parlor at 16. And then I put myself through college working as a waitress in a steakhouse.
Wow.
Paid for all of it except for like $9,000 of it. My dad paid for a little bit of it.
Good for you.
But I paid for all my living expenses, my car, put $60,000 down on my first house at 26 years old.
Good for you. Wow. Disciplined girl.
Saver. I've never bounced a check. I've never had a credit card bill. I pay it off every month.
I bounced so many checks. The overdraft charges of my life. Man, they made a fortune on my overdraft charges.
I get so mad. I'm like, what is this interest charge? Like, he's like, oh, I paid it a day late. Like, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
I've never balanced a checkbook in my life. I've never done a budget. It worked out, but I wouldn't recommend it for people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people should budget and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just out-earned my expenses.
Mm.
Yeah, that's frankly what I did. Just got it to the point where I couldn't.
That's very right-brainedness.
Yeah, isn't that weird? I'm weird that way. So you finish high school, and what's the next step for you? It's got to be go to college.
Well, yeah. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't have the money. So I went to a junior college, figured that out, and then went to Berkeley as a junior.
Berkeley?
Yeah. Go Bears.
Berkeley. Like, that's a big brain deal.
Yeah, it was number one. Now it's number two. My son that goes to UCLA informed me.
So going to Berkeley, you can't just get into Berkeley.
No.
So you got to have great grades and all this other kind of stuff. SET, ACT, SAT, all that stuff.
I never took the SAT. It wasn't required as if you transferred.
ACT?
I took the ACT. I'm sure I did good. I don't know.
Yeah. So you went to Berkeley. So pretty liberal college.
Yeah, but
I know you're opposite.
Yeah.
Of that.
I always tease. I'm probably the only Republican that went to Berkeley.
Right. Were you thinking that then?
No, I really have never been that involved in politics until recently.
Okay. So you're going to Berkeley, and what did you study?
Psychology.
You know what? I wanted to be, and here's how my brain works. Okay. I wanted to go to college. I didn't get accepted to the colleges that I wanted to go to, but what I wanted to study was psychology. And because I really enjoy what makes people tick.
Me too.
But two things stopped me from that. One is I didn't qualify for the college. It's three things. Two is I found out what psychologists make, which was not that much. And three, I talked to some psychologists, and they basically live in a negative environment all their life.
Yes.
And they're told negative things all their life. And I'm such an empath that I thought it would affect me.
Yeah.
The energy of
That's one reason I stopped. So I actually went into psychology because when I was a waitress at a steakhouse, a man sat at my station and said, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. He goes, well, business and sales is the highest paid profession. You should go and get a liberal arts degree or especially a psychology degree because we can train you how to sell something, but we can't train you how to, understand people. So if you understand people, you'll be really good at it. And I did. And then he actually hired me out of college.
So did you ever practice psychology?
I did. So
you're a counselor? Were you a
I was
psychologist?
a residential group home counselor, which was really interesting because I was 24 or 23. I had braces on.
You
I looked
graduated
younger.
college at 23?
Or 24? No. Probably 22.
Berkeley at 22, just boom, done.
Well, I started at 17. 18, 19, 21, 22. So I looked really young because I had braces on and it was a teen home that was high functioning. Like they couldn't have been abusive or drugs or anything like that, but I would have to stay there and cook for them and counsel. And I got $8 an hour. And people thought when we went to the grocery store that I was actually one of the kids. And it was great to, have an impact. I would see them years later. I ran into one that was a waiter and he's like, oh, I remember you. And he's like, I'm doing great. And I was like, that's cool. But it was $8 an hour. Yeah. And my parents owned a real estate appraisal business. And this is right when the boom starts happening, 96. And they're like, we need you. So they started paying me $20 an hour cash to go work for them. And that's when I got into real estate appraisal. And then I realized I didn't want to be an appraiser because it was a boring job. They just throw around.
So go from psychology, social work almost.
Yeah.
from Berkeley,
Mhm.
$8 an hour
Yeah.
into $20 an hour,
Yeah.
which turns into the real estate boom,
Mm-hmm.
and you get involved in real estate
Yes.
in your mid-20s.
In my mid-20s. And then I'm a single mom at the time. A few years later, I had a child and I had a
So
3-year-old.
tell me about this. What do you know? This
Yeah.
just happened somewhere in the middle?
Yeah. So was dating someone in college for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I broke up with him. 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant. I was 3 months pregnant.
Wow.
So I decide we get married, doesn't work out. We part our ways. And I'm a single mom typing appraisals from home and working at Restoration Hardware for $10.50 an hour. And I won every contest. Like literally, sell this and you'll get this blanket, you'll get this candle. I won every contest.
Mm.
And I loved sales. I loved people. I loved that job. But it was, again, $10.50 an hour, right?
Mm.
So then my friend calls us, our best friend calls and says, I'm working in the mortgage industry. They get inbound calls and I'm making $9,000 a month. And I'm like,
Let's go.
that's so much. Yeah, this is 20 years ago or whatever, 17 years ago. I'm like, let's do it, right? So I go and I interview, and there was 4 teams of 12 people, and then there was 4 managers, and there was a head manager. So one guy needed another person on the team, and they trained, and he interviews me, and I didn't hear from back. I'm calling him every day. Finally, like a month later, he's like, gosh, if you're this good at following up with me, maybe you'll be good. So the manager, the main guy, says, I strongly advise against you. He's like, well, she did go to Berkeley and she does. He's like, she has no experience. First year I was a top funder in the entire company.
Wow. So you have this success.
And that's when I started believing in myself.
What in the world? Why did you not believe in yourself? You're a straight A student. You go to Berkeley.
Well,
you do all this stuff. You're crushing in every direction. You're a track star. And you don't believe in yourself? What in the world?
I don't know. I guess I was still insecure. I grew up with a stepdad who wasn't very kind with his words.
So
So
those words had an impact.
yeah. So I kind of, yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but he was just not very nice. So
Yeah, the reason why I asked that, and the reason why I asked about the divorce and all this stuff, is I'm a believer that your past is never done with you.
mm-mm.
It burns into your DNA. It creates
Yeah.
things, decisions, recurring
Right.
stuff. I mean, it helps to. It doesn't help, but it contributes to you becoming who you are.
Right.
So interesting that
Going through divorce is you start feeling like
yeah, for sure.
it was pretty faux pas still back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Divorce can
Like a loser. I
make
felt
you
like a
feel
loser.
bad.
Like a single mom. I felt.
And there are words said
Mm-hmm.
in that process that
Mm-hmm.
still linger in your brain,
Right.
that are difficult to shake. So, wow, I find that fascinating to think that you start believing in yourself when some income shows up from being number one in that office.
Yeah, just, it's funny because it didn't I didn't think I was doing anything. I was just doing my job. I just sat there, and because a lot of people had been in that company for 12 years, they had all these preconceived notions like, oh, our rates are great. And I was like, well, why you guys are sitting there debating over the water cooler that your rates aren't great? I just answered 20 more phone calls and took more apps. There's some people wouldn't get their check if they didn't fund 15 loans and I was funding 50. So they actually hired people to sit and plug in and listen to my calls.
Sure.
And they're like, this isn't startling that she says their name, she smiles, and she's just answering the phone more than anybody else. Oh, so that's kind of when I got into network marketing.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Before we get to network marketing. So one thing is your stepdad still part of your life?
No. My mother died 7 years ago. I haven't talked to him since.
Okay. So I want to ask the question, and if you're uncomfortable answering it, just tell me. What did he say that made you feel smaller?
He argued with me all the time. And if I got straight A's, it was basically because I went to a crappy school. If I did good, it was because, there was not much competition. He just wasn't.
Always diminishing.
He was diminishing. And
And what did he do?
He was a carpenter.
So do you think because you're trying to make something of yourself,
Yes.
he's trying to keep you down?
Yeah. And my mom was kind of not very nice to one of his children. So I think he took it out on me. And eventually, the kids all moved out and I was the only one that stayed. And so I think maybe that too is because I stayed and my mom had me, that he was just maybe he was trying to be mean to me so that I would leave too. But I remember we were in a parking lot and I was like, early 20s, and my mom we were outside of Macy's and she said, I want to just say, I'm sorry I didn't stick up for you more. And I said, Mom, it's okay. Once I turned 18, I'm the captain now. Like, I'm the captain of my ship. It doesn't bother me, but I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, he just wasn't nice to me. It was weird. It just wasn't nice to me.
I think everybody can relate to that. Having somebody who, and they'll paint it in different costumes, but mostly, sometimes they'll say, well, I'm just trying to keep her, her feet on the ground, or I'm just trying to push her to be excellent or whatever. But really, it's just to be a little mean.
It was just ornery. Yeah.
It's
it
just
was
to be
just
a little bit mean.
Yeah.
How could I could hurt her if I do this. Let me just,
he wasn't a happy person.
She got A's. Let me take a little away from those A's.
He just wasn't a very happy person. So
yeah. So were you able to, those people will rent space in your brain sometimes, right? Were you able to release that ever?
Yeah.
Forgive them? Really?
Yeah.
Because, the biggest damage is if not that somebody does something to you, but it's that they change your heart. Did it cause you at some point moving forward to be a little bit more guarded when it came to opening your real heart to somebody?
You could probably ask my husband the answer to that. What do you think? Yeah, probably.
Really? So you became a little bit more protective, a little bit more, the walls were up.
Yeah. And especially after going through the
you're
divorce.
going to have to earn it to get close to me.
Yeah.
Do you think that was true in business, or could you just go perform?
No, I'm good in business. I think for personal relationships, like especially after going through a divorce, my ex wasn't very nice either.
Yeah.
And so.
How'd you find a not very nice ex?
Oh.
After the not very nice.
Well, I broke up with him and then I got stuck with him.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
but we have a beautiful son who's a
like I say,
student,
right?
pre-med,
I have an ex too.
Yeah. So
and
I wouldn't change it.
I wouldn't change anything either. My children, my grandchildren are just.
And another one on the way.
Yeah, epic. Light of my life. Wouldn't change a thing. And I learned from all the experiences about myself and about everything else.
But after the divorce, for me, I made the decision that I'm never going to have to rely on anybody again. And almost too much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make my own money. I'm never going to ever have to have my fate in somebody else's hand. So that's
like a defining moment for you.
Yeah. So that probably awakened the drive in me.
Yeah. So to prove people wrong, to
chip on my shoulder,
shut them up.
Yep.
So you were able to. Some people would, like maybe your sister or whatever, might respond to those same circumstances and go to drugs or addiction, or give up, go home, take a job that they don't enjoy in order to survive, and you decided to use it as fuel.
Yep. Because he came from like a wealthy family, so they always kind of thought he was better than me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll show you.
With the little swagger.
Yeah. And I did show him.
Yeah.
The day he drove up to my $2 million house, I'm like, you don't have to pay me child support anymore.
Yeah, right. Boom. So this all happens. And sorry for the digression, because I think it's valuable for people to just kind of, there's a lot of people out there that are going to relate to your story and your journey to independence and to love and to healing your heart and being willing to be vulnerable again, which you're still probably on a journey towards.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
I think we're all similar in that process. So you go through this, get the little one growing up, crush it in the mortgage space, learn some lessons. You start being a mentor. People start following you. You start having some prestige. You start, like the movie how Stella got her groove back.
Yeah.
It's like, how Tara got her groove back type of thing. It's like, you start feeling a little mojo, making some money.
Yeah.
When do you get introduced to network marketing for the first time?
So This is like 2004 when I started in mortgage. And a year later, I'm pregnant with our first child. And I get a notification at 8 months pregnant that the bank's shutting down. This is 2006, March of 2006. I'm on bed rest. I got to go clean out my desk. And then the president and vice president of that company went over to wholesale.
No, you and Chris have been together for how long?
Since 2003.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know it was that long.
Yeah. He met me right like a year later after I got divorced.
Wow.
Yeah. 17 and a half years.
Okay. So you have your first child, and then.
So we were married when I got into the mortgage business.
Yes. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet?
PF Chang's.
What?
Yeah, I saw him when I was waiting for a table, and I was like, "Oh, he's cute. He's new." And I grew up in the Bay Area. I knew everybody. And he's tall. He's 6'6". I really love tall. That's my thing. And so I was like, I'm going to talk to that guy. And this girl's like, he's with a girl. I'm like, that's not his girlfriend. They're like, how do you know? I'm like, look at the body language. He's too interested. He's like this. And like, nobody talks to their girlfriend like that. They're going to talk to the other two guys at the table, right? So I walked by, I got a closer look. And then the second time I smiled and I flipped my hair and I went like, yeah. And I was in my heyday. I was 118 pounds, just got my hair done that day. Really like on my A game because I was single.
Distracted him.
Totally distracted. He's like, and he was at a table full of people. He's like, did anyone else just see that? And he's just like, what? And so I did it again. And then the girls, he was being kind of introduced to girls because he had just moved there 1 month ago from Dallas. So he's like fresh off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And
new kid.
Yeah. So all the people left. It was just him and a guy. And he kicked him and Chris fumbled. And I was like, did you just slur? And he goes, yeah, I have a speech impediment. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, I'm really self-conscious. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I go, really? He's like, no. And then we just hung out. And then he asked me for my number. He called me the next day and he's called me every day since.
Aw.
He's a good guy. He puts up with me.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're back caught up.
Okay. So 2006.
2006. What happens?
So 2006, I give birth in April. During my maternity leave, the vice president of the new company, which was a wholesale mortgage, that was retail mortgage, wholesale says, we want you and we'll save their best territory for you. And I'm like, I don't know how to do it. They're like, most people had 10 to 15 years experience. I came in there, number 2 in the first year.
Got it.
So I'm making probably $13,000 to $15,000 a month. And I've got a 1-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I liked working because I
what was Chris doing at the time?
Oh, Chris had a great job. He is a corporate America. He was an account manager, sales and marketing for PepsiCo and a couple of big other companies.
Okay.
So he's a corporate job. He's 8 to 5, or 8 to 7, weekend daddy. And I just felt like there's had to be more. We were both working so much and we saw each other on nights and weekends and it was, it was kids and we had the income. But for me, I didn't care about money. Like I loved working, but I wanted more time with my kids. And so actually someone introduced me to a jewelry company and I had this big party and she goes, you should do this. And I was like, well, how long have you done it? That was the first time anyone had introduced me. And she's like, I've done it 18 months and I'm making like 40, 50,000 a year. I'm like, I would give up that much to have more time. I would give up half my salary to work 20 hours a week. The last thing I want is to be away from my kids more. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And then a couple months later, my nanny told me that my daughter took her first steps. And probably the week before I was introduced to our first company, which was the juice in the wine bottle. Yeah. And I didn't want to do it. I was like, it's one of those things, because I had some neighbors that were in Amway. And
right.
I went to the meeting and I came home and I said, I think I'm going to do this. Maybe I'll make $500 a month. Ironically, we used to play poker. Yeah. All the time. I'm like, it could be our poker fund. Right. That was literally, I'm like, I could pay more money. I'm like, car payment. My first goal was to make like $500 a month. And then I see all these people making these hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And I'm like, that's more than me. And so I hit the ground running and it's
like winning a contest again.
Yeah.
Part of that for a competitive person when you get involved.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the ranks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there's the rewards.
Oh, I remember the first
trips.
time I was making a lot of money, but I remember the first time 13 years ago, I was like, I'm going to go to the meeting tonight and I'm going to sit in the front row because they're going to recognize and I get to stand up and then people are there. I made $40 my first month. my first 30 days. And I thought but I hit the first rank. You had to sign up 2 people. I made 20 and 20 and I got the star. So then I went to the convention and I was like, wow, I saw the vision. I didn't want to go, by the way. I was every excuse and I didn't have the time off. I did have to play hooky, but my upline said, if you go to this event, you may never have to ask someone for time off again. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. So me and my sister went and it changed everything for me. I'm like, this is actually a big company. There's millionaires and there's real science and like, this is awesome. So I went up to my upline and I said, I'm going to be a diamond by December. So I was here and there was like all these ranks. And there was diamond and like emerald. She had emeralds and rubies and golds and silvers. And here I was like a bronze. It would be probably like from going like 20,000 a month in sales to 200,000 a month in sales. And this is June. And I said, I'm going to do it by December. And she said later, I knew you were going to do it because I knew you knew you were going to do it. So by November, I was her first diamond. And then I beat her to the next rank, which was Hawaiian Blue number, whatever.
Right.
And by June, so 15 months in, I'm making $35,000 a month. I'm like, life's great. Pregnant with my 3rd child. The economy falls out. I go down to almost nothing. He loses his jobs. Jumped into a company where I met Tom for like a year. Yep. And then kind of figured out. And then I got into my 3rd company. The first 2 companies, by the way, are not even in existence. Actually, my first 3.
Right.
And then I was in that company for 5 years. That's where we did like $160 million in that company.
Huge. Yeah. That's when we met, right?
That's when we met.
Yeah. So you're with a couple companies that didn't work out. And like any profession, there are companies that don't work out.
Right.
Or they morph into other things or they sell to other companies or different types of things. You found the company that you're with now, the long-term, forever play.
Yeah.
When?
In October of 2020, it'll be 5 years.
Yeah. So I remember when you talked to me, you were like, whoa, we're thinking about this thing. So you made this decision 5 years ago.
Great advice, Eric.
Well, my advice was to examine, your life and where you think things are going. You knew more about your circumstance and what was going on with your company than I did. But I knew that the decision you made with the company you were going to was a solid decision because they're a great company. So you make this decision. Had to be scary.
Very.
That's a big, it's like going from one church to another church almost, it's like, what are my friends going to say?
Right. Very big decision.
Yeah. And you took some heat.
Oh yeah.
for making this decision. And, but first of all, was it a good decision?
It was the best decision ever.
And tell me, how it started 5 years ago.
So after watching my sales decline from 7.5 million to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 in my previous company, 1.5, I finally, me and some of my leaders hit, and I had lost 118 6 and 7 figure earners left before we decided to leave. So it was just literally me and one of my top leaders left. And the company was going out of business, essentially, which it ended up doing. Right. Yeah. So we hit the panic button at about a month and a half. And this is the kind of thing that you don't want to go to your downline and think, oh, I'm thinking about leaving. And they certainly don't want to go because then it's like, so my top leader just said, let's play a game. This is the honest to God. This is July of 2015. Let's play a game. I was sitting in Florida with his parents and she says, what if our current company ceases to exist? Where would you go? And without hesitation, I said the name of my current company. And she goes, that old antiquated company? I go, yeah. And she's like, huh. And then she looked it up and she goes, okay, I'm interested. So we're still trying. I launched Hungary for the company. We're still trying and trying and trying and trying. And then August, we go to your event and we catch static for doing that. We were rebels because we were forbidden to go to company events. Right. And September, I had a talk with the owners and they just didn't have any confidence that they were going to change anything. And that's when I went home and I was in Hungary actually when I called my leader and I said, we're done. And then we flew out the next week and then flew about 17 people out the next week. How long did it take before the company went out of business? Well, I don't know, about 4 years. After that? About 3 years. I don't know. Oh, a couple, wasn't it? Couple. Maybe a couple years. But I watched my old team because I could log in. Sure. And it was down to probably 200,000 within a year.
Right. So,
From 7 to 9.
fresh start.
Fresh start.
Fresh start. You have the skills.
Mhm.
Some people get disillusioned inside of network marketing.
Mhm.
They get burned out. Like, oh, I'm never going to trust anybody again.
Right.
I'm never going to do, and then they decide to try and do something else, or they fade away. What made you say, I've got unfinished business inside this profession? What made you decide to move forward when other people didn't?
Oh, yeah. And we actually went through a lot of that. We had to do a lot of coaching and damage control. People were burnt out.
I'm just talking about you.
Yeah. I love health and wellness. I love what I do, and I love people. And I'm in my early 40s. What am I going to do? You know what I mean? I don't want to start a traditional business. Did you ever consider doing
something else?
Mm-mm.
Never.
Mm-mm. I love network marketing.
Yeah.
I love everything about it except for the drama.
Right. There's some drama sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Right? Not much anymore.
I mean, you're always going to have drama.
Yeah. It's a people business.
Higher levels, bigger devils, they say.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
You got to deal with
Good
sometimes.
news is a people business. The bad news is a people business.
Yeah, right. So in the last 5 years, you built up a big business.
Yeah, I think we're at 80,000 people.
80,000 people on the team. You're approaching $1 million a year, or approximately $1 million a year. Not making any claims or anything, just kind of stating the facts of what's going on. And lots of six-figure earners within your organization, and an enormous amount of people benefiting from your products.
Yes.
An enormous amount of people making a few $100 extra dollars, paying down debt, paying off, student loans, or having a little better lifestyle for their families.
Yes.
Which feels good.
Feels amazing.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
What is your absolute favorite thing about network marketing?
Gosh, the ability to help other people earns you money. So you get paid to help people get paid. So you don't succeed by yourself. In other words, like you're not like in mortgage, it was just me. You get paid only when you help a lot of other people. So I like that.
You can't win without helping people.
You can't win alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love helping people. I love watching my people on the stage more than I like being on the stage.
Love that. What is your least favorite thing about network marketing?
The stigma that it still has. I don't care, but I don't know. And drama.
The drama.
Complaints. People that
complain.
Drama. Yeah. No one ever complained their way to the top. I've never complained on upline. I don't get it. So
was there drama in the mortgage business?
Yeah.
Was there drama? Was there drama in
everywhere?
School?
Yeah.
There's drama everywhere, right?
It is. Exactly.
What do you think's been your biggest challenge in getting to where you are today?
The fact that I did this to have more time with my children, and then it ended up for a long time taking me away from my children, traveling. So that's why in the last 5 years, I even told my leaders, I am not going to run around every week on an airplane. I mean, I was every week on an airplane, launching countries and this and that. And I loved it, but it took me away from my original why. And so I got out of balance. And now that's the only thing that stops me from really going all Jessie Lee Ward. I watch her, but I'm like, if I did that, she's here. Right. That's why I'm saying that. It would make my life out of balance again. My kids are.
So you got your priorities of what you're doing. Yeah. Isn't it interesting with what's going on in the world today, how effective we are being from home without being on all these airplanes?
Because when I got started, there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook, there was no social media. If you wanted, there was no smartphones. You couldn't send someone a link. So we had to do it person to person, belly to belly. I mean, I had more flights up to Portland and, Palm Springs and Seattle and all this. I did a huge team in my first, I was on a plane literally every week. And so now I love it that we can launch someone in another country from the comfort of our own home.
Yep.
I don't mind being stuck at home.
And I got to ask you, you and your dear friend, Rachel.
Yes.
Were early to the game when it comes to social media.
Yes.
And it was not only out of fashion, it was kind of frowned on. It's like, oh, you're one of those people. And discouraged. And sometimes even companies would tell you couldn't do some of the things.
Our current company didn't used to allow, prior to the CEO we have now, forbids you to even have a Facebook page until you were a certain rank, a six-figure earner.
Yeah.
I just found that out last week. I'm like, what?
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 So you're kind of a pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
Both you guys pioneers as to using social media.
Mm-hmm.
What's some of the big lessons that you learned from social media to grow your business over this period of time?
Well, my opinion is that like if you create enough excitement, people will come to watch. So it was exciting. So my last company was weight loss. So we were the first company to really leverage before and after. This is 10 years ago, before and after pictures. But we also, we had a car program. Like we were always putting something positive. This person lost weight. This person just earned a car. This person did that. I mean, I had 2,200 qualifiers for cars on my team. So, I mean, imagine in 4.5 years, you're talking sometimes 100 in a month, and so it was exciting. So we didn't follow any, there was no, everyone knew. We threw up our name, our company, but we grew a team of hundreds of thousands of people in 5 years.
Yeah, just the excitement of it, the ability to share stories, the ability to kind of grow with that. What somebody wants to use social media to find more prospects or to expand their business, what's 3 pieces of advice?
Number 1 is you've got to give. You got to give value. Most people go on and they just start thinking, what can I get? What can I take? How can I give value, create a reason for people to want to understand who, trust you. People do business with people they know and trust, like and trust. And you can create that. Be positive, be valuable, and just show what you're doing. Show your struggles, show your victories. Be authentic.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So tell me something that you're proud of in your career.
So not my family.
Yeah. Of course, I know you're proud of your family, what you've built together.
That I've always been very integrity first. From leaving, from transitions. I never, from my first to my second company, I think I took 1 person who followed me. From my second to my third, I took 0, literally 0. Because I said, if I believe in this, enough, my perception when I go to another company is, if I thought it was the best company, I wouldn't have left it, right? If this is the best company, then I surely could build it without ever having to take apart someone else's paycheck. So always led with integrity and love and the true desire to help people. I love people.
Love that. Are you a book reader?
Oh yeah.
So give me a few book recommendations that have helped you in your career.
And I would say for anybody out there to think, is it really a big difference? I went from a 6 to a 7-figure earner when I started reading. In 1 year, I read over 100 books. The first one that I think helped me because I did have all those cobwebs was Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by Brian Tracy. It's one of my all-time favorite books. I read that my first year. And I also read Your First Year in Network Marketing. I think that just made sense. I've read over probably 15 books. Yours is still one of my favorites. Everybody, I recommend it to. Really, everybody. I think I bought 100 at one time and gave them all out. I've read 15 books on network marketing. I read, 10 books on presenting. I read, 20 books on leadership. Because you sharpening your skills, right? So I love reading. I don't read for pleasure anymore. I read for, habits. Like the one I'm reading right now. What am I reading right now? Atomic Habits.
Yep.
How to yourself. Those are 2 I finished, but I've probably done 12 books this year. I love reading. We walk a lot now, so I listen to them now. Yeah. But I still like to buy the book.
You a podcast person?
No, but I should be.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I haven't gotten into.
It's so good.
Yeah, I need to do that.
It's so we walk good. And it's so
an hour a day.
You listen to different people. That's what we're doing this for is for that type of listening. And so I'm a big fan of podcasts. Also a big fan of books. Tell me about Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. And what thinking did you need to change?
Because I think a lot, for me, I always thought only really wealthy people, they came from wealth. And we find out that of the 400, at the time the book was written, of the 400 people in the top 100, most of them were self-made. Because I think a lot of people think, it's not my destiny. Well, if you saw where I lived at some points in my life, you wouldn't think that I I deserve to be here. So change your thinking is like, first of all, decide that you deserve better.
Yeah.
And then, so like decide to become rich, decide to block out the noise, decide to do more, give more, be more, improve yourself a little bit, stay, go in early, stay a little late, just do more. And that those little things over time, and then, setting goals. And I've just followed it. I still go back to that book more than any book.
I love Brian.
He's good. He's getting old,
a machine.
He's so cute.
Yeah, I know it.
Oh, I love him though. He's so good. His habits, like I have like 4 of his.
You want to have an interesting night? Go have dinner with him and talk politics. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that would be funny.
Oh my gosh. He wanted to run for president at some point. You've never seen somebody with stronger political beliefs.
Oh, he's neat.
Than,
I love him.
Than Brian. So
his goal setting courses are really, really good.
Yep.
I love
all of his courses.
all of his
He's
stuff
just
is
a
good.
machine when it
He
comes
is.
to content. I'm a big fan of defining moments.
Mm-hmm.
These moments where it could go one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It could go bad. You can go take a bad, pull back, harden your heart,
Mm-hmm.
React poorly, or you could step into it and use it as a tool to move forward. And usually those defining moments are either extreme emotion. Sometimes they're at a moment of inspiration. Like for me, I've had some defining moments at events when I decide to do something.
Yeah.
But other times there's defining moments when it was a very low period.
Mm-hmm.
When I had to decide what I was going to stand for, when it was tough, when it was hard.
Right.
As I'm describing defining moments, I'm sure a few of them have come to your mind. What are they?
The first one was wanting to be with my kids more. Like that really hurt. Like I couldn't believe I wasn't there to see my daughter's first steps. That was it. Right. I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
A second one, believe it or not, I knew I was going to leave my second company. This is going to really shock a lot of people. I stood on the stage and I won 12 out of 12 awards, including the Global Leadership Award for the company. It was a really small company. And I was standing on that stage, and that was the moment I knew I was going to leave the company because I was the only one succeeding.
You couldn't, you were winning and other people weren't.
Yeah. They say if you're in John Maxwell, if you're at the top of your class, you're in the wrong class. And I said, if I only had 6 people on my team making $1,000 a month, I'm like, we worked so hard. This isn't the right vehicle. And that's when I started looking for a different vehicle.
So you're looking for,
and that company closed down very quickly
for other people to win too.
Yeah, and they closed down like really quickly after that.
Yeah.
My third one was when I decided to leave the last company because I was, I had a team of hundreds of thousands of users, like 60,000 distributors and hundreds of thousands of customers, and I just was so bought in. I mean, when I go in, I go all in. I give it my all. I'm 100%. I'm not 99%. I was loyal. I was contributing. I was on the field advisory board. I was, I was emotionally in. I was friends with the owners, and that was really hard. But again, I never made the decision about me. I was fine. I was still making $20,000 a month, right? It wasn't about me. It was, I couldn't fathom looking at someone in the face and saying, you can do this when I don't think I could anymore. And so, I made a decision, and it was a hard thing to do, right? I was still making the money, but it was not about, it's like, if you have these people that trust
repeating theme, you have to make it about
you've got to lead them to greener pastures. So it was a 5-month decision to go to this company. It was something that my, Rachel and I took very, very seriously.
Yeah.
Very seriously.
Give me a defining moment in the last 5 years.
I don't know.
Good, bad, something you changed, something you decided to do differently.
Well, like I said, one of the best moments of my career was sitting on stage, and 4 of the main stage speakers were 4 of my personally enrolled leaders.
So back to the same theme.
That was awesome.
Seeing people on your team win.
Yeah.
That fills you up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That should fill you up.
Yeah. Like, this is when I know I'm doing my job, when you're the one on stage all the time, it's still you. When your leaders are on the stage, that's when you know you're creating leaders. And that's what I want.
Yeah, that's fulfillment for you.
Yes.
So what's the next mountain for you to climb?
Oh, I got to get to the top of the company.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So top rank?
Top rank.
Anything beyond that? Anything you're thinking about? Any other big goals that are festering in your head?
I think about writing a book. I think I don't know. Like, I don't have any desire to do like coaching other than my team. People are like, do you coach? Can I pay you? I'm like, you can join my team and I'll coach you for free.
Right.
No, maybe write a book, but I mean, we have 7 years left until our littlest one is 18. So still wanting to just be involved as much with the kids as I can. That scares me.
Yeah.
That 7 more years, No, I mean, I love network marketing. Again, like I'm trying to find the next person on the team to say, help and just connect and just help them. It's funny because our in-person meeting in January is when I just had that aha moment. I was talking to a gal in the Next Level Mastermind and she helped me because she's like, why aren't you already there? And I said, because my why and my goals are at conflict. And she said, well, what if you redefined your why for being home with your kids? And why don't you put up pictures of the moms on your team and make that? And that's when I shifted, like, okay, now it's about
a defining moment.
Yeah. So there would, that it became not about me anymore. And my success is my why is now I'm already home with my kids is to help as many moms or dads be home with their kids now.
Love that. You can get everything in alignment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that my goal and my why are working together again, because it's like my goal was like go all out, but I want to be home with my kids. They work. Now my why and my goal are the same.
Love that. And for those of you listening that are wondering what she's talking about with this Next Level Mastermind, we have a mastermind group that is for 6-figure earners and above, where we get together once a week online and several times a year in order to be able to, share ideas.
It's
like
the
this.
best.
Yeah, really great.
Absolutely. That's one of the best decisions I've made.
Yeah, if you're a 6-figure earner and above, you can inquire about that. You can learn more about it. This has been great. I have one final question for you. What advice do you have for people who want what you have right now?
That it starts with a decision. Like you have to decide that you want to do it. Like everyone wants to be rich, but nobody wants to put in the work. It wasn't always glamorous and easy. Like now I have it a little easier because I've spent 13 years building it and building people and working and traveling and doing the work. And you have to have thick skin. You got to be ready for ups and downs. You got to be ready for your life to get out of balance. Like when I was still working for 7 months and doing this with 2 kids, I talked to Chris and I was like, hey, can you give up your basketball league? It's 2 nights a week. And if I'm going to be out a couple nights a week, like, I don't want to not ever see you. And he's like, sure. And so we made a decision, but like I turned off my television, Eric, for 6 years. 6 years. And I remember one day I got a notification that my DVR was full via email. And I went in and I erased seasons and seasons of Desperate Housewives and The Bachelor and what was it? Grey's Anatomy. And I'm like, I sat there as I was erasing 4, 5, 6 seasons thinking, wow, that used to be important to me. And people are like binging on Netflix. Like you can binge on Netflix or you can go out and build. But like, so I saw the funniest meme that said, I finished Netflix. I'm like, that's funny. But people are. Then they say they don't have time. So you have to decide you want it and then you have to do what it takes. Self-discipline is the biggest thing because there are going to be times I have wanted to quit 1,000 times, don't we all? I've been discouraged. I've been, hated for no reason. I've been talked down to. I've been questioned. I've been, accused of being a jumper, this, that. I mean, everything, right? Someone's always got an opinion, but I just kept focusing on me and my family and my team and my goals. And you gotta do the work. You gotta sacrifice. And you got to know the difference between a sacrifice and a mistake. A sacrifice is I can't be here for dinner. A mistake is being there for dinner with your family and being on your phone, and learning to do your work when you're working. And that's the hardest thing. Like I said, if you have time to watch 15 hours of TV or 20 hours of TV a week, you have time to do this. It doesn't really take 40 hours until you've got a big team. And just say, make a decision, become the person, right? My 4-step is decide, become, sacrifice, self-discipline, right? Decide what you want, become that person, right? If you want to become a fitness person, you start eating like a fit person. You work out like a fit person. If you want to be a professional network marketer, you got to learn the skills of network marketing. You got to learn how to present. You got to learn how to build a network, right? You got to learn, that your business begins when your list ends. Do you know the 3 people that I built my first 2 companies on to thousands of people? I didn't know their names when I started network marketing. The 3 people. One I found on Craigslist, which would be social media. One was a friend of his friend who played baseball. And one was my mortgage broker's wife. Didn't know they existed in the world, right? Have you ever heard of the corridor principle?
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to learn the skills and become a network marketer. It's the most rewarding career. Like you can make money doing it. I can go sell software. I can go sell anything. I believe in myself. I could start a traditional business, but where's the fun in that, right?
Right.
And just be committed to ride the wave, because it is a wave. There is ups, there is downs. People will quit on you. People will talk about you.
But it's
People
worth
will
it.
doubt you, but it's all worth it.
Yeah. Tara, thank you for sharing your wisdom, sharing your story. Probably a little different than maybe what you thought our conversation was going to start, but I think it's going to bring value to a lot of people. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Proud of what you're doing, proud of what you're going to do. You built a great life, and you're a great example to a lot of people.
Thank you.
So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it, everybody. See you next time. Take care.